We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph and Mesechet Kesuvos. This is Kesuvos Daf 71a. On the previous summon, the Tanna Kama said if you have a situation where one individual is muder hana from another individual, there are ways around it. The person can give the item through an intermediary, meaning let's say Ruvain can give it as a gift to Shimon, and then it will go from Shimon to Levi, so Ruvain is not directly benefiting Levi. Or another thing that can be done is that the item can be made hefker, and you can say anybody who wants can take it, and then the person who's muder hana can take it. And then Rabbi Yossi said over there that that is prohibited. You can't use that loophole in order to get around this issue. And the reason why he prohibits it, the Gemara says, is because of the Ma'aseh de Beis Choron, the incident that happened at Beis Choron. This is in the Nedarim. The basic incident was that a person gave a gift in order to get around the issue of a situation of Muder Hana. It ended up happening that the person he gave the gift to consecrated the property, then took it back, and therefore there was an issue, and that's why Rabbi Yossi prohibits that type of loophole in this situation. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'Yisrael chodesh echad v'chulu. Rabbi Yehuda said, if you have a situation of a marriage of a Yisrael, so then they can maintain the marriage, even though it's a situation of Muder Hana, they can maintain the marriage for 1 month. And the Gemara asks, Hainu Tanna Kama, that's exactly what the Tanna Kama said in the Mishnah. The Tanna Kama in the Mishnah didn't say 1 month, but said 30 days. 30 days is a month. So what's the difference between the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda? Amar Abaya says, Kohenes asa lashmina. No, Rabbi Yehuda is saying the same thing by Yisrael. The Chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda is that by a Kohen, so then we say it's 2 months, we want to give a little more time. We don't want them to divorce so quickly because a Kohen is prohibited to marry a Grusha. And the Gemara continues, Rava says, Chodesh Mali v'Chodesh Chaser Ika Beinayu. The difference between the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda is the difference between sometimes you have a full month and sometimes you have a month that is not a full month. So if you say it's 1 month, so that could be 30 days, that could be 29 days. That's what Rabbi Yehuda said. But the Tanna Kama said, no, it's always got to be 30 days. Even if it's a Chodesh Chaser, we don't say that 29 days is enough. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav says, Lo shanu ela b'mefarish. This halacha over here in terms of maintaining the marriage when the husband makes a kind of an oath that makes his wife prohibited from getting benefit, that's only if the person specified that amount of time. As Rashi over here says, b'mefarish epirish loshim yom. In other words, the husband said, for 30 days you can't get benefit from me. Hudelo kafinan leilahotzi al yamid parnis. That's the case where we don't force them to divorce immediately, and we say he should set up a third party to help to support her. That's what our mission is talking about. Aval bestam, but let's say the person doesn't make that neder, doesn't prohibit his wife from getting benefit from him specifically for 30 days, but just says stam with an indefinite amount of time. So then yotzi la'alter v'yiteng ksuba. Then he has to divorce immediately and give the ksuba. Shmuel says afilu bestam, even in a situation where it was made in an indefinite fashion, lo yotzi, he should not divorce her. Shema yimtza pesach lenidro, because maybe he'll be able to find some kind of opening and get out of the neder. And the Gemara says, this machlokas Rav and Shmuel, we've already seen this machlokas one time. The Tanan, as we learned in a Mishnah, let's say a person makes a neder, and he's prohibiting tashmish hamita, he's prohibiting relations between himself and his wife. Beis Shammai say, that's for 2 weeks, we can maintain it in that fashion. And Beis Hillel says 1 week. V'yomar Rav, and Rav said on that, machlokas b'mefarish. The machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is when the amount of time was specified. But let's say the amount of time was not specified, it was just done in an indefinite manner. Yotzi la'alter v'yiten ksuba. So then again Rav said that he has to divorce immediately and give the ksuba. Ushmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, afilu bestam nami lo yotzi, even in a situation where it was said in a stam fashion, still he should not divorce. Shema yimtza pesach lenidro. Maybe he will find an opening and be able to get out of the neder. And so it seems like Rav and Shmuel are arguing about the same exact thing, just in different mishnayos. What is the purpose of that? And the Gemara answers, Sricha, no, we need both cases. It could be that Rav only said his halacha, that by stam you have to divorce immediately because there's no solution of appointing someone like a third party to support her. You don't have that solution in the case of the tashmish hamita. Aval b'ha de efshar beparnis, but in a situation where you can appoint someone to support her, maybe he would admit to Shmuel that you don't divorce right away. And the same in the reverse. V'yitmar b'ha kamar Shmuel, if we only had that case, maybe only there Shmuel said it, mishum de efshar beparnis, it's possible to have someone to support her, and therefore they don't divorce immediately. Maybe in the case of tashmish hamita, he would admit to Rav that it would be a problem, they should have to divorce immediately, so it's richa, so that's why I need both cases. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, Hamadir is ishto shelo titom. Let's say a person makes a neder upon his wife that she shouldn't taste echad mikol haperos, one of a particular kind of fruit. So the halacha the Mishnah said is yotzi viten ksuba. He has to divorce her and give the ksuba. Now here it sounds like in the Mishnah suddenly there is no time when you can maintain the marriage with this kind of neder. He has to divorce her right away. So it seems like a contradiction in the Mishnah. And bishlam Rav, I understand according to Rav, we can explain the Mishnah as not being contradictory. Kan bistam, kan b'mefarish, because in one case we're talking about where it was stam, where the person said it in an indefinite manner. So there Rav actually says yes, you have to divorce immediately. But if they specified a time period, so then they can maintain the marriage for a short amount of time. Elul Shmuel kasha, but according to Shmuel it's difficult because Shmuel doesn't make that distinction between stam and mefarish. And so the Gemara answers, Hacha b'mayaskin, on here in this line in the Mishnah, what are we talking about? Kegon shenodrahi v'kayim lo iu. The case actually is where she's the one that actually made the neder and he just maintained the neder. Because Savar Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir holds, the Gemara is assuming that Rabbi Meir is the author of the Stam Mishnah. Rabbi Meir holds, Hu no senetzva bein shina, he's the one that's putting his finger between her teeth. Meaning to say that it's considered his fault, and that's why he has to divorce her and give her the ksuba. And the Gemara continues, V'savar Rabbi Meir who knows and etzba bein shina, but is that really true that Rabbi Meir holds in such a situation where he maintains the oath, that's considered like he's at fault? V'atanya, but we learned in a brisa, Ha'isha shenadra ben nazir, let's say a woman, she makes a neder to be a nazir, V'shama ba'ala v'lo heferla, and the husband hears and he doesn't annul it. Rabbi Meir of Rabbi Yehuda omrim hinasna etzba bein shina. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda say she's the one that's like she's putting her finger between her teeth. In other words, it's considered her fault. Lafigach, therefore, imratza ba'al hafer yafer. If the husband wants to annul it, he can annul it. V'imam mariyef shibisha nadranis, and also if he says, I don't want to marry a woman who makes nedarim like this, teitzei shelo b'ksuba, she would actually be divorced, and she would not even receive the ksuba. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Lazar, Omer, and Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Lazar, they say, who knows etzba bein shina? He's the one that's putting his finger between her teeth because he heard and he didn't say anything. Lafigach, therefore, imratza ba'al hafer yafer. Again, if the husband wants to annul it, he could. V'imam, and if he says, that I don't want to be married to a woman who makes nedarim like this, yotzi v'iten ksuba, he can divorce her, but he has to give her the ksuba because again this is considered his fault that he maintained the neder. And so in any case you see over here a contradiction because Rabbi Meir is saying that it's considered hinosna etzba bein shina over here, and we answered before according to Rabbi Meir that it's hunos ein etzba bein shina. And so the Gemara says Epoch, just reverse who the opinions are over here in this Mishnah, in this brisa. Rabbi Meir of Rabbi Yehuda omrim hunos ein. Just say that it's Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, they're the ones that say that he's at fault. And Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Lazar, and it's Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Lazar, they're the ones that say that she is his fault, that she is at fault. But the Gemara says, V'savar Rabbi Yosef he nasna, but is that really true? Does Rabbi Yosef, does he really hold that she put her fingers between her teeth, meaning to say that she's at fault? But we learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yosef says, Bo'anius, in a situation where she's poor, Shelo nasan kitzva. So that's talking about in a situation where he didn't make a deadline, he didn't make a fixed amount of time. And that meant to say that in that case it is considered that he is at fault, and then he has to divorce her and give her a ksuba immediately. So again, it seems to be a contradiction with Rabbi Yossi. Is it he nasna or is it hu nasan? And so the Gemara says, you're right. Eimer Rabbi Meir v'Rabbi Yossi omrim hu nosein. So again, switch around the opinions in the brisa. Let it be Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi that say he is at fault. Rabbi Yehuda of Rabbi Lazar omrim he nasna, and it will be Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Lazar. They're the ones that will say she is considered at fault. But still, the Gemara asks, "V'sav Rabbi Yehuda he nasna." Does Rabbi Yehuda really say that she's the one that's at fault? But we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says, "B'Yisrael yom echad yekayim," meaning to say that according to Rabbi Yehuda, they can maintain the marriage for one day, but if it's for 2 days already, he has to divorce her and give her the ksuba. It seems that he is at fault. And so again, the Gemara changes it. Amos will rather say as follows: Rabbi Meir of Rabbi Yehuda of Rabbi Yossi omrim hu no, saying it will be Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi. They all say he's considered at fault for maintaining the oath. Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Lazar will say he nasna, she's the one that's considered to have put her finger between her teeth. It is considered that she is at fault. But the Gemara says v'imtim salomar zuge katani. But maybe you're going to say that it doesn't make sense to say that a brayso has 3 tanaim saying one thing and 1 tana saying another. Usually it's by pairs. Usually it's 2 and 2. And the Gemara says we could still answer. Ema, we can say the brayso as follows: Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Lazar, omrim he nasna. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Lazar, they're going to be the ones who say that she is considered to be at fault. Rabbi Yehuda of Rabbi Yossi omrim hu nosein, and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi, they're the ones who will say that he is considered at fault. And then we're only going to have a problem from the Stam Mishnah which we said was like Rabbi Meir, and we said he's at fault. V'hastama delok Rabbi Meir, but then you'll simply say that Stam Mishnah does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Meir. But the Gemara continues, V'sava Rabbi Yossi ba'aniyos shelo nasan kitzva. Does Rabbi Yossi really hold in a situation of a poor woman, and there wasn't a set amount of time? So there Rabbi Yossi said that he has to divorce her and give her the ksuba because he should not have maintained the neder. He should have annulled the vow, and that particular vow was talking about a situation where she takes a vow not to put on perfume. But the problem is, Alma Baal Motzi Mefer, that sounds like Rabbi Yossi holds that the husband does theoretically have the ability to annul such a vow when she vows to prohibit herself from putting on perfume. Or a minute, but we have a contradiction to that. Elu Devarim Shabal Mefer, it says these are the things that the husband is allowed to annul the vow. Devarim Sheyesh Bahen Inoy Nefesh, it has to be things where she took a neder of some kind of affliction of herself. Im erchatz, im lo erchatz, let's say she says, I'm going to take a vow in terms of bathing or not bathing. Im eskashet, im lo eskashet, in terms of adorning herself or not adorning herself. And that again was talking about this case of the perfumes. But Rabbi Yossi disagrees. Rabbi Yossi says, Ein elu nidra inoy nefesh. These kind of nidarim would not be considered in the category of affliction. V'elu hey nidra inoy nefesh. The following are considered nidarim of affliction, and only in the following cases can the husband annul the vow. Shelo ochel basar, let's say she says she's not going to eat meat. V'shelo eshta yayin, she's not going to drink wine. V'shelo eskashin, and she says I won't adorn. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ayin Aleph Amud Beis.